If you ever felt like the more you care, the faster she pulls away, you're not crazy. There's a reason why begging for love kills attraction, and why the men who hold power without even trying are the ones women can't resist. This video is not about playing games or turning cold. It's about understanding a silent rule most men never get taught. The moment you start chasing her approval, you give up your power. And once you lose that, it's over. What we're going to talk about is deeper than "don't text her first" or "act busy." We're diving into the mindset of real Stoic masculinity, why emotional control is everything, and how to stop begging for something that should be given freely: love, respect, and desire. If you've ever found yourself wondering why the more you care, the more distant she becomes, you're not imagining it. There's something almost unfair about how love seems to work when you're a man. You show up, you give her everything, and yet somehow it feels like the more you give, the less she wants it. And deep down, even when it hurts, even when you're obsessing over what you could have done better, something inside you whispers, "This doesn't feel right." That voice, it's your instinct telling you that begging for love, attention, or validation is the fastest way to lose it. But no one ever really explains why. That's what we're going to unpack today: how to hold power without ever begging for love, and why Stoicism, calm control, and emotional detachment are not just attractive, they're essential for any man who wants to be respected. See, we're told that vulnerability is strength, that being open and available makes you a real man. That's a beautiful idea, but only if the other person values your openness. The problem is, most men give their full emotional availability to women who haven't earned it. You end up exposing your heart to someone who barely sees you as an option, let alone a priority. And the more you try to be honest and vulnerable, the more she starts to pull away. You notice her texts get shorter. She becomes harder to reach. Suddenly, you're not hearing "good morning" anymore. She's busy, tired, or just not in the mood to talk. And because you've already invested so much, now you panic. You start trying harder, messaging more, doing little things to remind her you care. You overcompensate for the silence with more effort. And right there, that's when the shift happens. The balance of power flips, and you're no longer the man in control. You're the guy chasing something that doesn't want to be caught. And the worst part? Most men know they're doing it. You know when you double text that she's not going to respect it. You know when you say, "I just want to talk," that it's not going to change anything. But the fear of losing her feels stronger than your pride. So you do it anyway, hoping maybe this time it's different. Hoping maybe if you just say the right thing, she'll snap out of it and realize what she's about to lose. But she never does, because people don't respond to words. They respond to energy, to presence, to what they feel when they're around you. And when a man is constantly in pursuit mode, constantly seeking validation from her, it gives off one powerful message: I need you more than you need me. That energy is weak. It's not stoic. It's not grounded. And it doesn't matter how nice you are, how loyal, how romantic. If you come off like you're trying to earn love, she will eventually see you as less valuable. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine you, as a man, are completely centered. You don't rush to reply. You don't feel the need to explain yourself. You don't argue, beg, or try to convince her to stay. You observe, you assess, and you act based on reality, not emotions. You understand that any woman who truly respects you will never make you question your worth. That realization changes everything. It stops you from being reactive. It gives you control over your time, your emotions, and most importantly, your peace. You no longer tie your identity to how someone else sees you. That's the mindset of Stoicism. That's real power. And it's exactly why women chase men who don't chase them back. Stoic men don't hold back their feelings out of fear. They hold back because not everyone deserves access to that part of them. They choose who gets to see their emotions. They set boundaries. They're not ice cold. They're selective. And that selectiveness builds value. Think about it like this. When something is always available, it's easy to take it for granted. But when something is rare, when it's not always within reach, it becomes desirable. That's basic human nature. Scarcity increases value. So when you pull back your energy, when you're no longer freely giving it away to someone who's not reciprocating, you don't become rude. You become respected. because now she has to think. She has to wonder. She starts asking herself questions she never did before. Why hasn't he texted? Did I mess this up? Is he losing interest? And suddenly, the same man she used to ignore becomes the one she's trying to figure out. That's how you shift the dynamic without saying a word. Not by playing mind games, not by ghosting or manipulating, but by making your time, attention, and love something that can't just be taken. It has to be earned. And that shift doesn't start with her. It starts with you. Holding power starts with identity. Most men unknowingly hand their identity over to women they're attracted to. They allow her to define how they feel about themselves. If she likes them, they feel confident. If she pulls away, they feel anxious. That's a dangerous way to live. Because what you're really saying is, I don't know who I am unless she tells me. Think about how many times you felt good about yourself simply because a woman gave you attention. Now think about how quickly that confidence disappears the moment she becomes distant. This is the trap. It creates emotional dependency. You become addicted to how she makes you feel instead of being rooted in who you already are. And as long as your emotional balance is tied to someone else's approval, you'll always be at their mercy. That's where Stoicism steps in, not as a cold, emotionless act, but as a solid foundation that reminds you your value doesn't change based on someone else's behavior. You don't crumble because someone didn't reply. You don't lose sleep over someone who can't recognize your worth. You feel everything, but you're not ruled by it. That's the part most guys get wrong. They think Stoicism is about pretending not to care. But the truth is, Stoicism is about controlling your reaction when you do care. It's about being able to sit in that discomfort without letting it shake your confidence. Because yes, it's uncomfortable when someone pulls away. It's frustrating when you don't get the same energy back. But the real question is, do you still show up for yourself when she doesn't? A Stoic man is dangerous, not because he's aggressive, but because he can't be moved by cheap emotional tactics. If she tries to make you jealous, you don't flinch. If she gives you the silent treatment, you stay grounded. If she tests your patience, you don't take the bait. That composure is rare, and women know it. They're used to men panicking. They're used to emotional outbursts, long text paragraphs, emotional begging. But when a man responds with silence, space, and clarity, it triggers something different. She starts reflecting instead of reacting. And that's when the power dynamic shifts, when she starts seeing you as a man who doesn't need her to be okay. That's when attraction rebuilds. Not because you played a game, but because you reclaimed your self-respect. Here's what most men don't realize. Women respect boundaries more than words. You can tell her you're confident, you can tell her you know your worth, but if you let her walk all over your standards, your words mean nothing. She's not judging what you say, she's watching what you allow. If you say you won't tolerate certain behavior, but keep showing up every time she disrespects you, you've already lost the frame. She's not going to take you seriously if you don't take yourself seriously. That's why power isn't about controlling her. It's about controlling what you allow into your life. You're not punishing her by pulling back. You're just protecting your peace. And any woman who truly values you won't need to be punished into acting right. She'll want to. You want to know something wild? Many women don't even realize they're testing you when they pull away. Sometimes it's unconscious. She might not even know why she's doing it. But emotionally, she wants to know, can this man handle me not giving him everything? Will he chase me like all the others? Or will he stay calm? Will he stay composed? Will he remain in control of himself? That's the test. And it's not personal. It's instinctual. So when she pulls back, the average man chases. He gets desperate. He reacts. But the Stoic man detaches, not with anger, but with peace. And that contrast is what changes everything. Because when she doesn't get the emotional reaction she was expecting, her curiosity grows. She's forced to look inward. She starts thinking, why isn't he chasing me? Did I mess up? That uncertainty is powerful, because now you're not the man chasing her validation. You're the one making her reflect on how she treated you. It's ironic, isn't it? The moment you stop needing her to like you is the moment she starts noticing you again. Because confidence isn't loud, it's silent. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't beg for love. It just is. And when you carry yourself like that, people feel it. Women feel it. They sense when a man is rooted in himself, when he doesn't flinch under pressure, when he can walk away, not out of ego, but out of principle. That's rare, that's attractive, and that's how power is maintained. Let's be real, there's a part of every man that wants to be chosen, that wants to be loved, that wants to feel like he matters. That's human, but that desire has to be balanced with self-respect. You can want her, but you can't need her. You can love her, but not at the cost of your dignity. That's the fine line. And once you learn to stand on it, you become unshakable. A woman can tell within the first few interactions whether you lead with need or value. It's in your eyes, your tone, the way you text, the way you respond to silence. And once she senses that you're basing your moves on how she feels about you, she knows she has the upper hand. She may not say it outright, but the dynamic has already shifted. You're now performing, waiting for signs, hoping. That's when attraction starts to fade, because women don't fall for men who chase. They fall for men who lead. That doesn't mean you control everything, but it does mean you're not following her emotional lead. You're not changing your vibe every time she shifts hers. You're not molding yourself into what you think she wants. You stay centered, consistent, grounded. That's what leadership looks like in the emotional space. Now, that doesn't mean playing cold. Stoicism doesn't mean you walk around emotionless like a robot. It means you're selective with your energy. You don't give the best parts of yourself to someone who hasn't earned them. You're still warm, still engaging, but you're not overextending just to be liked. You're not throwing out compliments hoping she'll stay. You're not trying to fill the space with jokes and stories when the vibe feels off. You're okay with silence. You're okay with letting her come to you. And that kind of restraint is powerful, because when a woman senses that you're not desperate for her attention, she starts wondering why. And when she starts wondering, she starts chasing. There's a reason why men who hold power don't usually have to say much. Their silence says everything. It communicates patience. It shows they're not scared to wait. They're not afraid to walk away. And they're definitely not begging for someone who can't decide whether they want to be in or out. Women notice that. They respect it. Because it means you value your time. You're not going to sit around hoping someone chooses you. You've already chosen yourself. And that's the mindset that makes you stand out. Most guys can't sit with discomfort. They panic the moment things get uncertain. They overtext, over-explain, over-give. And in doing so, they show they don't trust themselves. But when you learn to hold tension, when you can stay calm through uncertainty, you rise above the noise. Look around. Most men are taught to think if they just do more, she'll like them more. If they text her first, take her out, compliment her every day, show how much they care, she'll stay. But attraction doesn't work that way. In fact, sometimes the more you give, the less she feels. Because women are emotional. They're tuned into energy more than logic. And if your energy feels like you're chasing something you don't believe you already deserve, it triggers resistance. She starts to pull back. Not because she's trying to hurt you, but because it doesn't feel earned. That's the hardest pill for a lot of men to swallow. Sometimes doing less actually creates more pull. Because you're not chasing, you're choosing. You're not proving yourself. You're evaluating. And that shift changes everything. Think about the last time you really liked someone. Now imagine they started acting too available, too agreeable, always texting back instantly, never challenging you. At first, it might feel good, but over time, you'd start losing interest. Why? Because part of what makes someone attractive is their independence, their mystery, the fact that they don't make you the center of their universe. And it's no different with women. When you drop everything for her, when you always make time no matter what, when you stop having your own life just to be available, you slowly lose her respect. Not because she's cruel, but because deep down, she's wired to be drawn to strength. And strength doesn't fold under pressure. It doesn't abandon its path for temporary feelings. It stays rooted. That's why you'll see guys who don't even fit the typical mold of attractiveness still have women chasing them. It's not about looks. It's not about money. It's not even about status all the time. It's about how they carry themselves. It's about how they make a woman feel emotionally, like she has to earn them, not like they're just waiting to be picked. That shift in energy is subtle, but powerful. And when a man learns how to hold his value without begging for validation, everything changes. Because now, he's not looking at women like they're prizes. He's looking at them as equals. He's not scared to walk away if the energy feels off. He doesn't need to be chosen. He chooses. And listen, this isn't about playing hard to get just to manipulate someone. It's not about pretending you don't care when you do. It's about learning how to manage your care. You can feel everything and still move wisely. You can love someone deeply, but still hold boundaries. That's real strength. Anyone can react. Anyone can chase when they're afraid of losing someone. But it takes real composure to stay calm when everything in you wants to panic. It takes real growth to step back when your ego wants to force connection. And that's the difference between a man who has control and a man who's controlled. When a woman pulls away, your response reveals everything about your level of emotional power. If you beg, chase, or panic, she knows you don't fully value yourself yet. But if you stay calm, remain focused on your own life, and let her come to you, she sees something different, something rare, and she'll start to realize she's not just dealing with another guy hoping for her attention. She's dealing with a man who can walk away if he's not respected. That energy speaks louder than words. The truth is, the most powerful thing you can do as a man is to stop acting like you're afraid to lose her. That's the point where most guys fold. They fear the silence. They fear the distance. They fear what it means when she doesn't reply like she used to. But the men who actually keep a woman's respect, and often her desire, are the ones who don't treat every space of uncertainty like an emergency. You don't need to fix what's not in your control. If she's unsure, let her sit in that space. If she's distant, don't close the gap for her. If she's cold, don't try to warm things up with more effort. Let her come back on her own if she wants to. And if she doesn't, that's your answer too. You see, holding power is not about domination. It's not about being cold or detached. It's about being centered. That means you don't overreact to someone else's indecision. You don't try to fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. You don't bend over backwards trying to prove your worth, because your worth isn't something to be proven. It's something to be recognized. And if she can't see it, you don't get angry or bitter. You just keep moving forward, and that alone puts you in a position of quiet control. No shouting, no drama, no desperate pleas, just stillness. And that's what makes you dangerous in the best way possible. Because when you stop begging for love, you stop giving away your power. When you stop trying to constantly prove your value, you start living in it. You stop asking, why won't she choose me? And start asking, do I even want this energy in my life? That mental shift changes your posture, your energy, your interactions. You start walking into situations with clarity, not craving. And women notice that, not just emotionally, but energetically. You become the man she can't quite figure out, not because you're playing games, but because you're not handing your heart over to anyone who hasn't earned it. That level of calm confidence is magnetic. And here's the thing a lot of men don't get until it's too late. You can't make someone feel for you. No amount of gifts, attention, compliments, or reassurance will create desire where there is none. But you can kill desire by trying too hard. That's why begging for love is the fastest way to lose it. People want what feels rare, and what feels rare is self-respect, boundaries, the ability to walk away from what doesn't serve you. When a woman feels that you'd rather be alone than mistreated, she pays attention. Because now you're not just another guy trying to win her over. You're a man who values peace over attention, standards over chemistry, respect over temporary excitement. That's rare. You want to hold power with women? Stop chasing the emotional crumbs they throw when they're unsure. Stop needing constant validation to feel worthy. Stop waiting by the phone like your life depends on a response. Focus on your purpose, your mission, your mental strength. Focus on living a life that fills you up without needing a relationship to feel whole. Because when your life is full, you don't chase. People are drawn to you. You don't beg, you attract. You don't fold under pressure, you rise. And the women who are meant for you will feel that energy and respect it. They won't want to lose it, because strong men don't ask for love, they inspire it. And if she's too distracted, too busy, too unsure to see the value in you, don't try to change her mind. Just keep being who you are. Focus on being the kind of man you'd be proud of even if no one clapped for you. That's the core of Stoicism. It's not about looking detached. It's about being untouchable in your peace. Women are naturally drawn to men who feel like they don't need anyone, but choose people based on connection, not desperation. That's what flips the dynamic. When you're no longer trying to win her over, she starts wondering why you're not trying. That's when the power shifts. So stop trying to force something that's not flowing. Stop doubting yourself just because she pulled back. Stop breaking your own boundaries just to keep her close. If she doesn't respect your space, your time, your value, let her go. Because the right woman will never require you to beg for her love. She'll be drawn to the man who respects himself enough to walk away when he's not being met with the same energy. And that man, that's who you're becoming. Watch the next video right here.